Hey guys, tonight we begin with one of the most brutal, relentless, and soul-grinding experiences in modern history. World War II. Not the parades, not the victory speeches. This is the version where you wake up freezing in a foxhole, half-eaten by lice. Your socks haven't been dry since Tuesday, and breakfast tastes like regret. You're soaked in mud, sleep-deprived, and the only thing louder than the incoming artillery is the guy next to you quietly losing his mind. Now, before we get into it, a real heartfelt thank you to every veteran out there, past and present. What you're about to hear is based on real history, real suffering, and real sacrifice. We can only tell the story. They had to live it. So if you're into this kind of gently traumatic bedtime storytelling, go ahead and like the video and subscribe. Leave a comment with what time it is and where you're tuning in from. I always like seeing which corner of the world we're keeping awake tonight. All right, dim the lights, pull your blanket up, maybe keep your boots on, because tonight you're an American soldier in Europe, and you're about to find out exactly why you wouldn't last a single day in World War II. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Wake-up call in a hole. You wake up with your mouth open and a slug halfway across your tongue. You don't scream, you can't. Your throat is dry, your lips are cracked, and you're 75% mud at this point anyway. So you spit, or try to. It comes out more like a wheeze, a sound somewhere between a dying cat and a defeated harmonica. This is your morning. You are an American soldier in Europe. World War II, the big one, the one with the parades and black and white photos and heroic movie music, except this version. No music, just your heartbeat, the wind through rotted trees, and a guy 3 foxholes over snoring like he's inhaling gravel through a coffee percolator. You slept in your helmet, again. Not because it's comfortable, it isn't, but because it's the only thing dry, and you'd rather have neck pain than trench foot on your face. You peel yourself out of your bed, which is a generous term for a shallow depression in the earth lined with wet canvas, regret, and at least 2 species of insect you're certain haven't been discovered yet. Your back cracks like an old rifle. Your boots squelch before you even stand up. You don't remember the last time they were dry. You stopped tying them 2 weeks ago. What's the point? They're mostly held together by mold and stubbornness now. You're not sure if the socks inside are still socks or just damp philosophy. You stretch slowly. Every joint pops like bubble wrap under pressure. You smell awful, not oops, I sweated too much, awful. More like a compost heap hugged a dead raccoon and gave it a name, awful. Someone yells, "Get up!" from the next foxhole over. You mutter something about going to hell and fumble around for your gear. Your rifle is cold. You sleep with it, not out of love, but necessity. It's the only thing between you and being a German statistic. It's also caked in mud. You scrape it off with your fingernail and try not to look at the spot where rust is winning the war. Breakfast? If you're lucky, it's hardtack and canned mystery meat. You pop open a tin with fingers that forgot how to be fingers, and the smell hits you like a punch to the nose from a hungover butcher. You're pretty sure it's supposed to be pork. You're also pretty sure pork isn't usually green. You eat it anyway. You hear coughing, not casual coughing, the kind that sounds like someone's trying to evict a lung through their teeth. Welcome to your foxhole neighbour, Johnson, who's had bronchitis since Normandy and somehow just keeps going out of spite. Still breathing, you ask? He nods, then spits something reddish. Not by choice. You laugh. You both laugh. You laugh because if you don't, you'll cry, and tears would just make you wetter. Someone tries to make coffee. It's technically warm water with the memory of a bean waved over it. It tastes like regret and melted shoe. You drink it like it's the elixir of life. Then come the orders. Patrol duty, again. You load your gear, again. You check your rifle, again. You wonder what it would feel like to sit on a real toilet and not have to use a hole you dug in the dark next to a tree that now has more personality than your lieutenant. You march. The air is cold, damp, heavy. Your breath fogs out in little ghosts that immediately regret their existence. Every step is a squish. Every mile feels like 20. You've memorized the texture of mud. You have names for it. Greasy mud, squelch mud, sticky betrayal mud. Someone slips, no one helps. They just laugh and say, "Welcome back," like it's a sick tradition. You pass wreckage, burnt-out tanks, craters big enough to hold your fear, a field littered with helmets, none of them on heads. You look away, you look back, you keep walking. Midway through the patrol, you need to pee. You try to find a private spot, a laughable idea at this point, and end up doing your business against a tree while pretending the forest isn't watching. As you're zipping up, a shell lands in the distance. You duck instantly. Reflex, the shell's nowhere near. Doesn't matter, you've been trained to hit the dirt faster than your own shadow. Your knees hurt now. Thanks, instincts. Back to camp by midday, if you can call it camp. It's a few scattered tents, half a trench, and a cooking fire that only exists in theory. Mail call. A guy next to you gets a letter from his wife. Smells like perfume. He reads it 3 times, then folds it like it's gold. You get nothing. Again. You pretend you don't care. You go to clean your rifle, or your boots, or the same spot on your coat you've been obsessively picking at for 3 days. Someone passes you a cigarette. You don't smoke. You take it anyway. The afternoon is quiet. Too quiet. You know what that means. Ambush paranoia. You check your gear again. You rehearse how you'll dive into cover if someone sneezes too aggressively. A bird chirps and you almost fire your rifle into the trees. Dinner is powdered mashed potatoes and something labelled meat product. You chew it while watching steam rise from the cup like it's trying to escape too. Night approaches. The sun goes down like it's embarrassed to be part of this. Your body screams for rest. Your brain won't shut up. Every creak is a boot. Every snap a bullet. Every breath someone else's. You climb back into your foxhole. You shift again. You find a position that doesn't hurt. It hurts. You close your eyes, then reopen them fast. You try again. You fall asleep to the sound of someone crying 2 holes over and a rat chewing on something you pray wasn't alive this morning. Your last thought before drifting off? You've survived one day, barely. Welcome to World War II. Chapter 2. Breakfast, if you can call it that you wake up confused, which is better than waking up dead. Something is moving near your feet. You don't look, it's probably a rat, or maybe your imagination, or maybe a rat wearing your imagination's face. Either way, it's too early. You sit up, slowly. Everything cracks. Your joints sound like someone trying to light a damp match. Your spine is politely asking for a refund on your enlistment papers. You stretch your neck and blink the morning out of your eyes. The sky is a dull grey, the colour of wet wool and poor decisions. It smells like yesterday's war reheated with this morning's socks. Your first thought is food. Your second thought is why. There's a pot boiling over a tiny fire someone has somehow kept alive using crushed cardboard hope and what might be a page from a Gideon Bible. You stumble over, holding your mess tin like it's begging for mercy. Breakfast is being served, if you can call it that. It's slop. The military calls it meat hash. You call it emotional damage in gravy form. It jiggles when it shouldn't and smells like someone tried to cook anxiety. The guy serving it doesn't make eye contact. He's wearing gloves made from socks. One is clearly someone else's sock. His hands shake, but the ladle doesn't. That's muscle memory. You hold your tin out. He slops it in. It hits the bottom with a sound that makes your stomach consider filing for discharge. Next is coffee, or what the military calls coffee. It arrives in a dented metal cup, steaming with the faint scent of burnt regret and oily smoke. You sip it. You immediately regret everything. It tastes like someone boiled dirt, strained it through a sock and whispered Colombian roast over the pot before serving it. You drink it anyway because the only alternative is being awake without it. And no one wants that. The hash steams in your tin like a wounded animal. You prod it with a fork. It shudders. You eat a bite and immediately question the nature of your reality. It tastes like cardboard soaked in broth that died trying. Halfway through, you find a thing. You don't know what kind of thing. Meat bone, fossilized resentment. You swallow it whole. You look up. Across from you, Johnson, the guy who always smells like cheese and war crimes as he's licking his fork with gusto. He says, "Not bad today." You want to cry. Behind you, someone gags audibly. Someone else burps, and it sounds like defeat. You keep eating because it's warm, and that's enough. Nearby, another soldier, Matheson, starts listing things he'd rather eat. Nails, soap, his own dog tags. Everyone nods, especially the guy eating dog biscuits. He swears they're better than army rations. You believe him. One guy pulls out a chocolate bar from his pack. Everyone stares. Chocolate is gold. Chocolate is currency. Chocolate is hope, sugar-coated. He breaks off a square slowly like a priest offering communion. He gives it to a guy who hasn't spoken in 2 days. That guy eats it and smiles, then goes back to silence. You finish your meal or whatever it was, and scrape the sides of the tin with a spoon worn down to the curve. Every bite helps fill the void. Not your stomach, your soul. You wash the tin with cold water that tastes like iron and swamp. Then you dry it with your sleeve, which hasn't been dry since last Thursday. Someone passes around chewing gum. It's supposed to help with digestion. It doesn't, but it gives your teeth something to do besides chatter. You chew, you listen, to boots crunching, to the fire hissing, to the guy beside you muttering about eggs. Real eggs. He says he's going to eat 6 in one sitting when he gets home. You say 10. Another guy says 12. Someone claims 20. You all nod like you're betting on horses. Breakfast becomes theory, a thing to dream about. Toast, syrup, bacon so crispy it sings when you bite it. You stare into the steam and try to remember the smell of a kitchen. You can't. You remember the mess hall, the bugs, the noise, the officer who called your omelette too political. You chuckle, then cough, and keep chewing. Someone tries to fry something, it's hard to tell what. Smells like grease and ambition. It catches fire. You all laugh. Not because it's funny, but because it's something. Anything. You check your canteen, it's half full. The water smells fine, which is suspicious. You sip it and pretend you're somewhere else, anywhere else. The wind picks up, it carries the scent of someone's burned ration pack and distant artillery. You pretend it's barbecue. A guy pukes behind a tree, too fast, ate too much, or not enough yesterday. You pat his back and hand him gum. He nods like that fixes it. Another guy opens a tin of peaches. The smell hits you like memory. Peaches mean summer, home. Picnic tables, not here. He eats them slowly, eyes closed, like it's church. You can't look away. You wipe your face. You're not crying. It's the smoke, sure. By now, most guys are finished. They rinse their tins with spit or snow, dry them with what used to be sleeves, stack them like trophies of resilience. You sit in the dirt, stomach turning, mind wandering. You think about pancakes. You think about marmalade. You think about the fork your mother used to flip sausages. You think about the time she dropped one and the dog got it. You smile, you stand, it's time to move out. But for 5 minutes you were fed. Not well, not kindly, but fed, and that's something. Chapter 3. Morning march, blisters included. You don't remember falling asleep, but you remember waking up. Someone nudged your boot and muttered, "On your feet." You groaned and blinked against the daylight. Or at least what passes for daylight, when the sky looks like wet cement and the air smells like war's armpit. Now you're marching, boots hitting mud, one after the other, again and again. The world is grey. The trees are skeletal. The birds, if there are any left, are smart enough to be silent. Your pack digs into your shoulders like it's trying to fold you into yourself. Your rifle slaps against your side. Your helmet itches. You think about scratching your head, but your arms have unionized against sudden movement. A mile in, your right boot starts to make that sound again, the squish pop. You try to ignore it, but every step reminds you that there's more water than foot in there now. You adjust your gait. Doesn't help. You breathe through your nose. Regret. Mornings in the army don't begin. They ambush you, and the first casualty is always hope. There's a line of men ahead of you, another behind. Everyone's shoulders slope the same way. Not from the weight of their packs, but from the slow realization that they're going to be walking for the foreseeable future. Possibly until the earth runs out of dirt. A corporal yells something unintelligible from the front. Someone yells back. The rest of you just keep walking. You step over something that used to be a bicycle. You think, could be a stove, could be a dream, hard to tell anymore. You pass a ditch full of water that smells like diesel and something worse. A guy behind you jokes about bottling it and selling it back home. Well, turd o' the swamp. You smile. It hurts your face. You're sweating. Not because it's hot. It's freezing, but your body hasn't caught on. It's just panicking. Every step rubs the blister on your heel like it's trying to sand it into oblivion. Your knees throb. Your back itches. Your mouth tastes like iron and ration biscuit dust. You take a sip from your canteen. The water is warm somehow. It's also chewy. You keep walking. You pass a dead horse. Or half of one. You don't stop. Neither do the flies. Someone starts singing. You can't tell if it's ironic or delusional. You want to join in, but the song is about Kansas and you've never been, and you're too busy trying to remember what dry feels like. Around mile 5, the pain in your feet shifts. It's no longer sharp. Now it's ambient, like background music. If background music came with pus and permanent nerve damage, you try not to limp. Limping draws attention. Attention draws assignments. You pass a tree that's been blown in half. Its inside is black. Charred. Hollow. You feel a kindred spirit. Eventually, someone calls a break. You sit down on a rock that was designed by the devil. You remove your boot. It makes a sound like a kiss from Satan. Your sock peels away like it's shy. Underneath your foot, technically. covered in blisters the size of walnuts. You prod one with the corner of your dog tag and immediately see stars. The medic walks by, gives it a glance and says, "Tape it." You ask, "Tape what?" He tosses you a roll of something that smells like glue and punishment. You wrap your foot like it's a broken promise. Then you eat. It's a ration bar, the consistency of chalk and the flavour of dried fear. You chew, you pretend it helps. You think about coffee, real coffee, from a place with chairs. You look around. Nothing but mud and misery and men trying not to cry out loud. The break ends before your soul finishes rebooting. You put your boot back on. It feels like shoving your foot into a haunted microwave. You stand, you start walking again. The sun appears, briefly. It's less sun and more a slightly brighter smudge in the clouds. Still, it lifts your spirits by half a notch. A guy behind you says he's going to open a diner when he gets back. He's going to serve steak and eggs and pie for breakfast. You believe in that diner like it's a religion. You say you'll eat there every day. You won't, but he smiles anyway. The road tilts uphill. Your calves scream. You scream back, silently. At the top of the hill, you pause. You see the valley below, the burned houses, the lines of wire, the shadow of something that used to be a village. Then someone shouts, "Move!" and you go. Downhill is worse. Your toes hit the front of your boots with every step. You consider detaching your feet at the ankle and dragging them behind you like forgotten luggage. You dream of amputation. Just a little. You start humming, not because you want to, because if you don't make noise, your thoughts get too loud. You pass a tree covered in bullet holes. It looks like it's been sneezed on by war. You pass a farmhouse missing its roof. You pass a scarecrow with no head and 2 bullet belts for arms. You pass a man curled up against a fence post. He's not wearing a uniform. He's not moving. You keep going. Finally, you arrive. A new position. An old barn, 3 walls and a roof, mostly. The sergeant points to where you'll dig. You drop your pack. You stare at the ground. And then you dig, because this is how mornings end now, covered in sweat, dirt, and the very real knowledge that your day isn't even halfway over. Welcome to the middle of nowhere, population U, and however many blisters survived the march. Chapter 4. Friendly Fire and Other Great Misunderstandings. You made it, sort of. After marching half the width of Europe with boots filled with regret and blood, you finally reach your next position. A half-collapsed barn nestled in a patch of mud that smells suspiciously like something died nearby and wasn't properly mourned. You drop your pack and sit on a crate. The crate breaks. Of course it does. You stand again, groaning, popping, leaking from joints you forgot you had. "Dig in," the sergeant says, like it's that simple. So you dig, not because you want to, because that's what soldiers do when they stop walking. They start digging. The shovel is bent. The ground is clay. You stab at it like you're trying to kill the concept of dirt itself. Nearby, Johnson mutters something about being allergic to manual labour. You offer him the shovel. He flips you off. In trench friendship, that's affection. You dig for 20 minutes before realising the spot you're in already has a trench. You're just re-digging someone else's misery. Perfect. Eventually, you hit something metal. You think it's a helmet. You hope it's empty. You don't check. By the time you've carved out a space just wide enough for your knees and your doubt, the sun's already vanished behind a cloud shaped like incoming artillery. You sit and wait, because that's the real job. War is mostly waiting for something to happen, then panicking when it does. From your spot you can see maybe 50 yards of open field, a few charred trees, and what might be a cow or a very determined bush. Someone next to you lights a cigarette. You all stare at him like he's just asked to be sniped. He shrugs. "If it's my time, it's my time." Johnson mutters, "If it's your time, tell the bullet to go around." The sergeant barks something unintelligible. You assume it means "shut up," because that's what he means 90% of the time. Then you hear it. The soft, distant whistle of something bad coming this way. "Incoming!" someone shouts, which is helpful in case you missed the shell trying to unthread the sky. You dive into your hole. You curl into the mud like a very sad, feral dog. The ground shakes. Something explodes too close. Your teeth rattle. Your ribs hum. You wait. You hear another whistle. This one lands behind you, far behind, too far. Then the radio squawks, static, then a voice. Correction, that was ours." You pause, you blink. You shout, "Did we just shell ourselves?" No one answers, which is worse than yes, because yes means someone noticed. No answer means someone didn't. You poke your head up like a prairie dog with PTSD. Smoke, craters, a cow still standing. Maybe not a bush then. The sergeant says, "Friendly fire." Happens. Your ears are ringing, and your trench is deeper than you remember. Another shell lands, not on you, thank God, but it's too close for comfort. You duck again. The guy next to you swears, loudly, in two languages. Someone shouts back, "Those are our guys, damn it!" You all huddle in your trenches wondering which is worse, the enemy who wants to kill you or the friends who can't aim. A lieutenant jogs up. He's got clean boots and bad news. "We're coordinating artillery support," he says, like that explains anything. You ask, "From where?" He says, "Behind us." You say, "Could they aim? Not at us." He nods, like he's heard that before. Then he jogs off. The next hour is spent watching the sky and hoping that nothing with a fuse has your name on it. You try to eat crackers and cheese. The cheese is mostly oil and regret. The crackers break like dreams. You try not to think about the fact that your side nearly turned you into soup. You think about writing a letter home. Something like, "Dear Mom, things are going great. We're currently being shelled by our own team. Tell Grandma I love her. Also send socks." But you don't, because that would involve moving your arm, and your arm is still pretending it's part of the trench wall. Eventually the shelling stops. You emerge slowly, carefully, like the ground might hold a grudge. The field is cratered, blackened, smells like fireworks and disappointment. You stand up and immediately feel dizzy, not from fear, from hunger, exhaustion, and existential despair. You adjust your helmet, you adjust your grip on your rifle, you adjust your expectations. A corporal walks by and mutters, "Next time we call in fire, remind me to check the map." You want to say, "Remind me to bring a coffin," but you don't, because sarcasm uses calories. Instead, you start reinforcing your trench with whatever's lying around, a broken door, a piece of barn wall, your last shred of optimism. You hear a click nearby. Everyone freezes. It's not a gun. It's a landmine trigger. One of the new guys, Sanderson, has stepped in the wrong spot. He's white as a sheet, frozen, shaking. The sergeant doesn't blink. "Don't move." You all hold your breath. A minute passes, then another. Then the sergeant says, "You're fine. That's just a tin can." Sanderson sobs. You all nod, because crying over cans is part of the job now. Later, someone finds a flare gun. You don't know whose. You don't care. He fires it into the air. It's pink. It floats. It's beautiful for 5 seconds. Then someone panics and starts firing toward the sky. "Cease fire!" the sergeant yells. "It's just a signal." "A signal of what?" someone asks. "Of confusion," someone else answers. You all lower your weapons. Someone laughs. Then you all do, because it's that or scream. Night falls, slowly, reluctantly, like it's not sure if it wants to make things worse. You curl up in your trench. Your body hurts. Your mind hurts. Your stomach asks for food and forgiveness. The stars blink above you. You whisper, "Try not to kill me in my sleep, team." Then you close your eyes, because tomorrow might be worse, and somehow you'll still show up for it. Chapter 5. Mud, Rats, and Moral Collapse. You wake up because something's breathing on your face. Not human. Definitely not. You open one eye, just one, slowly. It's a rat, a fat one, staring at you like you've interrupted its dinner reservation. You make a noise somewhere between a shriek and a battle cry and swat it away with your helmet. It lands with a squeak and scurries off like it's late for a meeting with plague. You sit up fast, too fast. Your head slams against the edge of the trench wall. Your vision goes white. Your ears ring. Somewhere that rat is laughing. It's still dark, still cold, the kind of cold that crawls into your bones and makes itself a nest. You don't remember what warm feels like, probably a myth. Your legs are wet. Again, not rain, just ground. The mud in your trench has liquefied. It seeps into everything. So boots, pants, sole. You gave up on dry socks 3 campaigns ago. Now you just hope your feet don't dissolve overnight. Welcome to the graveyard shift. You rub your face. It's gritty. You smell like something that should have been buried hours ago. Your breath fogs in the air and immediately regrets existing. Someone mutters in the dark. Johnson, probably arguing with his own boots again. A flashlight flicks on 2 holes down. Big mistake. The light's barely a whisper, but still someone yells, "Kill that damn thing before it gets us killed!" The light vanishes. Muffled cursing, then a splash. Someone just fell in their own trench water. It's comforting to know you're not the only one losing to gravity and despair tonight. You try to shift positions. Your back pops. Your shoulder aches. Your neck crunches like a mouthful of stale crackers. Something brushes your leg. You freeze. It's probably a root or another rat or something worse. You sigh. Whatever it is, it owns the space now. You're just visiting. You fish around for your rations. Crackers again. They're cracked in ways you didn't expect. You chew carefully like you're eating secrets. Your stomach gurgles a warning. You ignore it. There are no bathrooms, just holes. And those holes are already full of things better left unmentioned. You hear rustling nearby. You grip your rifle. It's nothing. You wait anyway, because the last time it was nothing, someone lost a toe. You breathe in through your nose, trying to convince your brain this air is better than it smells. It's not. You hear whispering, maybe guards rotating, maybe someone praying, maybe someone losing it. You can't tell anymore. You're not far behind them, honestly. A rat darts across your boot. You flinch. You flinch so hard your helmet falls into the mud. You stare at it, then decide to leave it there. It's part of the trench now. Everything's part of the trench eventually. You think about your hometown, about porches and warm drinks and people who don't scream in their sleep. You think about the kid from your unit who used to whistle during night shifts. He got transferred, or hit, or both. Now it's quiet. You miss the whistling, even if it was off-key. You hear Johnson whisper, "You think the war ends tomorrow?" Someone answers, "Only if we do." Silence again. You rest your chin on your knees. Sleep pulls at you slow and heavy, but you can't fall all the way, because there's a part of you that's still listening, still waiting, still trying to survive. Your eyes close. You dream of socks, warm, clean cotton socks. You wake up to a boot in your side. Shifts up. You grunt. You stand. Your knees protest like unpaid labourers. You grab your rifle, now slick with condensation and shame. You climb out of the trench like a man emerging from his own grave. The world above hasn't improved. It's just wider. You step carefully. The mud tries to take your boots as payment. You fight it. Barely win. The fog's thick. Trees loom like skeletons. Branches reach like accusations. You patrol the perimeter. Your breath fogs. Your fingers freeze. Your thoughts wander. You hear something in the dark. You freeze. You raise your rifle. A twig snaps. You aim. You wait. Nothing. Could have been wind. Could have been a deer. Could have been a German scout. You don't fire. You keep waiting. Time slows down to the pace of your pulse. Eventually you move on. Back to the trench. Back to your hole. Back to whatever counts as rest. Someone's snoring. Someone else is coughing. The deep kind. Wet and final. You slide back into your corner. It's wetter than before. You close your eyes anyway. You pray the rats keep their distance. You pray you don't get shelled. You pray the morning never comes, not because you want to die, because you're not sure you can survive another day exactly like this one. Chapter 6. Latrine Duty and Other War Crimes. You thought the worst was over. You survived the night, the rats, the coughing, the patrol shift from hell. You even managed to get 30, maybe 40 minutes of sleep, if you count sitting upright in a puddle while hallucinating about mashed potatoes as rest. Then came the order, "Private, you're on latrine duty." It hits you harder than a mortar. Latrine duty. The two dirtiest words in the war, not yelled in German. You try to protest, but your sergeant looks at you like you've just asked to marry his daughter. "You want to trade for patrol with the new guy?" You glance at the new guy. He's sharpening a spoon and muttering to himself. You grab a shovel. Welcome to the worst job in the army. Technically, it's not a battlefield, but it's definitely a war zone, and you're about to face your most unforgiving enemy yet, human waste. You trudge to the latrine zone, which is just a fancy word for the worst-smelling corner of the world. It's a shallow pit, a pit you will now become spiritually connected to. You stare into it and see things you can't unsee, colours, textures, emotional trauma in solid form. The smell hits you like a sandbag to the soul. You gag. Immediately, you take a step back, compose yourself, try again, gag again. Your eyes water. Your nose gives up. Your mouth tastes something that didn't come from your mouth. You consider desertion. You also consider vomiting, but you skip breakfast, so there's nothing left to give. You have a job, a sacred duty. You're the guardian of the dump zone now, the janitor of justice. You grip the shovel. You try not to breathe. You fail. You begin. The plan is simple. Stir, bury, pray. That's it. But nothing in war is ever simple. Step 1. Locate the outer edges of the pit. It's deeper than expected. You poke at it. It shifts. Something bubbles. You step back again. Something moves. You're not alone. You freeze. A rat? No, worse. Flies, thousands of them, swarming, breeding, living their best lives. You wave them away like a deranged conductor. They ignore you. One lands on your lip. You scream internally. You try to dig. You hit resistance. You hit something else. You don't ask what. You bury it. You keep going. Time loses meaning. You are no longer a soldier. You are a sewage wizard, a scatologist of sorrow. A guy walks by and laughs. "God bless your nose, Private." You salute with one finger. Someone hands you a rag. You tie it around your face like a bandit robbing a train full of disease. It doesn't help. You step into the pit to reach the far corner. Your boot sinks. You scream. You don't pull it out fast enough. It's stuck. You yank. It squelches. You fall. Almost. You recover. You whisper a prayer to no god in particular. You keep digging. You find something that might be part of a sock. You cover it in dirt and shame. You think about the war, the front line, the shells. You'd take all of them over this. You find a can. You think, oh, relief. You open it. You were wrong. It's not beans. It never was. An officer walks by. Good work, Private. You smile like a man on death row. The officer adds, might need a new pit soon. You consider resigning from humanity. But you dig, because that's what you do. A friend brings you water. It tastes like betrayal. Your hands are brown now, not from mud. You cry a little, not outwardly, but inside, a full opera. The sun climbs higher, the flies multiply, the pit stares back. Eventually it's done. You flatten the earth, you wipe your brow, you want to burn your uniform, you leave your boots outside your foxhole, you take off your shirt and scrub your arms with sand. You almost don't feel human, but you're done. You sit in your trench. Someone offers you coffee. You laugh like it's a joke. You drink it anyway. The new guy asks, how was it? You say, it changed me. He nods. You lie back. The wind shifts. The smell lingers. You realize it's you. You try to sleep, but the smell follows. You have earned a new name, Private Latrine. Chapter 7. Incoming fire, incoming fire, incoming fire. You barely have time to rinse the smell of the latrine off your hands before it starts. A low whistle in the distance, faint, almost polite, like a tea kettle warning you that hell is about to arrive in pieces. Then the first shell lands, not near you, but near enough that the dirt jumps and the air changes colour. You hit the ground by instinct, or maybe trauma, and brace for the second. It comes faster, closer. A thunderclap of metal and dirt and chaos. Shrapnel sprays the edge of the trench. Mud rains down. Someone shouts, "Down!" even though you're already trying to fuse with the earth. This isn't your first shelling. But it's the first one today. The foxhole you spent all morning digging suddenly feels like both a grave and a blessing. You press your helmet down tighter, like that's going to help, like steel's going to do anything against something built to rip apart tanks. A third shell lands. Closer, you hear someone scream. You don't know who. It might have been you. Your body's doing math. Distance, trajectory, survival rate. Your mind is busy playing reruns of every mistake you've ever made. More whistles, closer, faster, boom, then another. You lose count. They're landing like dominoes. Random, angry, cruel dominoes. Some hit trees, some hit nothing. One hits a trench 20 feet away and turns it into a hole full of fire and memory. The guy next to you starts praying. You don't stop him. You just close your eyes and imagine home. Not because you miss it, but because you want to remember what a ceiling looks like before you're buried under sky. Another impact. This one lifts part of the trench wall and throws it like a drunk child. A boot lands near you. It's full. You pretend not to see it. Everything smells like cordite and blood and fear sweat. Your hands won't stop shaking. Your mouth tastes like copper. The sergeant crawls by, shouting something. You don't hear the words, just the shape of panic in his voice. "Where's it coming from?" Someone yells. "Everywhere!" Someone else answers. You laugh or sob. Hard to tell the difference these days. A shell screams overhead and hits somewhere behind you. You feel it in your lungs. Someone is shouting into a radio. The radio's not working because of course it isn't. You smack it. That's what you do with radios, right? Nothing. More fire, more shaking. The sky goes red for a second. You curl up, not out of cowardice, out of logic, because the only things that survive are the ones already close to the dirt. Then silence. Not real silence, the kind that comes after too much noise, ringing dust, the soft, terrible absence of things. You lift your head. The trench is different now, shorter, deeper, rearranged. A guy you know, maybe Thompson, is lying face down in the mud. His helmet's gone, his foot's missing. You crawl over, you flip him. It's not Thompson. You still say sorry. Your hands are shaking so hard you drop your rifle. And you pick it up, hold it like a life jacket. The sergeant shouts again. This time you hear him. "Counter batteries up!" Great. Now we're firing back. Too late for Jenkins. Or Murphy. Or the other guy. The one with the harmonica. You remember the harmonica, not his name. Someone loads a mortar. It thumps. Boom. Then another. You peek above the trench. Smoke. Ash. Trees that used to be. In the distance, far, far out, you see the faint spark of something retreating. Maybe the source. Maybe a decoy. Maybe God himself walking away from this mess. You duck back down. Shelling slows. It doesn't stop. But it slows. You sit in the trench covered in a new layer of fear and someone else's blood. You wipe your face. It's mud. Maybe. The sergeant walks by. He says nothing, just pats your shoulder like he's checking to see if you're still real. Your ears ring for 20 minutes. Someone makes a joke. You don't hear it, but you laugh anyway. You check your boots. They're full of water, and not just from before. You check your hands, still attached. That's a win. You look around. There's less trench than before. Less people, more wreckage. You wonder if that's the new normal. Then you realize it already was. Your stomach turns, not from hunger, from pressure, the kind that builds after staring death in the teeth for too long. You sit down, you breathe, you whisper, "Still here," and the dirt doesn't argue. Chapter 8. Night Patrol, no thanks. The worst time to be alive in war. Night, not because it's darker, but because everything else is. The light fades like it's apologizing for leaving you here. The air turns cold, damp, tense. Every breeze feels like someone breathing too close to your neck. Your orders come in just after you finish trying to scrub someone else's blood off your sleeve with a wet rag and a prayer. "Night patrol," the sergeant says. You blink at him like he's just handed you a resignation form from the human race. 3 men, 2 hours, out and back, quiet. You're not quiet. You breathe like someone who forgot how. You move like a sack of spoons. You trip over things that aren't there, but you nod because arguing with your sergeant is like arguing with gravity. It only ends one way and it's down. So you gather your gear, load your rifle, whisper your last wishes into your boot, and step out into the dark. Johnson is with you. He smells like fear and the soap from 2 weeks ago. The new guy comes too. He's got that twitchy energy, like a squirrel with a bayonet. You step past the trench lip into the black beyond. The world shrinks. Everything is a shadow. Every sound is suspicious. The ground is soft, wet. Your boots make noise no matter how carefully you step. Squish, crunch, suck. You imagine every noise echoes across the countryside like a marching band of bad ideas. Johnson whispers, "Hear that?" You don't, but now you do, because he said it. A branch creaks. The new guy stops moving. You all freeze. Seconds pass, the kind of seconds that take years. Nothing. You keep going. The path takes you through a narrow patch of brush. You duck branches. One slaps you across the face. You don't flinch. You've lost feeling in that cheek anyway. You hold your rifle tight, safety off, eyes forward. Every step is a gamble. Somewhere in the dark, an owl hoots. You almost fire. You whisper, "Don't shoot birds." The new guy nods like he heard, but his finger stays on the trigger. You pass what used to be a fence. Wooden posts, broken, bent. You step over them, quietly. One snags your pack. You swear under your breath like it's a personal betrayal. Johnson trips. Doesn't fall, but close. You hear him curse softly. You imagine the ground flipping him off. Up ahead, movement. You all drop. Belly to mud. You squint, a silhouette. Maybe low, moving slow. Could be an animal, could be a soldier. Could be your imagination putting on a puppet show. You stay still. You breathe slow. You wait. It moves again, then it's gone. You don't know if that's better or worse. The new guy whispers, "Should we signal?" You whisper back, "If you move, I will hit you with your own helmet." Silence. You wait another 5 minutes. Then Johnson says what no one wants to say. "We got to keep going." So you do. You move through the brush, past ruined stone walls, a rusted-out truck, and a pile of helmets you don't look at too closely. You find the marker point, a half-collapsed well like Command said. You kneel beside it, scan the horizon. Nothing, no light, no sound. Just the kind of silence that hurts your ears. You tap the signal into your radio. 1 click, 2 clicks, 3. No reply. You wait. Still nothing. You consider yelling into the void. Instead, you mutter, "Of course it's busted." Johnson looks at you. Back. You nod. You retrace your steps. Slower this time. The new guy's breathing louder. You think he might cry. You judge him, but you're too close yourself. Then a sound. Click. Then another. Metal on metal. Your breath freezes. You drop. Johnson whispers, "Mine, you don't know." The new guy hasn't moved. You whisper, "Don't shift." He whispers, "I think I stepped on something." Your brain goes into overdrive. You scan the ground. Can't see it. Too dark. You crawl forward. Every inch is panic. You reach him. You feel around his boot. There's a piece of metal under it. Flat, smooth, round. You whisper, "Stay still." You dig with your fingers. Dirt under your nails, into your skin. Doesn't matter. You're clear enough to see it. Not a mine. A canteen. Someone dropped it, probably weeks ago. You pull it out slowly. You whisper, "You're good." He doesn't move. You tug his arm. He finally steps back. You all exhale, like it's the first time you've ever tried breathing. Back to the trench. 10 more minutes, 10 more decades. Then you see it. The lip, the shadow, the shape of safety. You slide back over the edge into home. If home were mud and fear and more rats than friends. The sergeant grunts when he sees you. "Report?" You say there. "Nothing moving, one old truck, one old well." He nods. He doesn't ask if you're okay, because he knows the answer. You sit in your hole, you peel off your pack, you drink from your canteen like it's the last liquid on earth. Your hands are shaking. You pretend it's just the cold. Someone passes you a blanket. You wrap it around your shoulders. You don't sleep, but you close your eyes. You hear Johnson whisper, "Still alive." You nod. Not because he's right, but because tonight that's the best you'll get. Chapter 9, Sleep Interrupted. You want sleep. Not because you're tired. Tired is a memory. You want sleep because it's the only thing left that doesn't cost rations, soap, or sanity. And even that's a gamble. You're back in the trench. Back in your hole. Back in what used to be a dugout and now just feels like a shallow grave with better branding. The blanket someone gave you is damp. So is the dirt. So are you. Everything is damp, even your thoughts. You curl up like a leftover ration pack. Every joint clicks like broken clockwork. Your rifle rests beside you, not out of loyalty, just habit, like a dog that growls when it dreams. The wind shifts, you smell something burning. Could be fire, could be socks. You tell yourself it's not your problem. You close your eyes and then open them again. Something moved. You wait, nothing. You try again. You shift, adjust, tug the blanket tighter. You pretend you're safe. You pretend you're asleep. Your stomach growls loud enough to wake the rat population. You ignore it. Sleep, you remind yourself. Just sleep. You try counting backwards from 100. You get to 93 before Johnson starts snoring. It's not snoring. It's a war crime. A slow nasal moan that vibrates the trench walls and summons whatever gods are left. You throw a rock at him. It misses. He doesn't stop. You bury your face into your sleeve. It smells like mustard and regret. You try breathing slow. You get halfway to calm before the new guy lets out a scream. Not a loud one, just a little yelp, like he saw a ghost in his dreams. Then he starts muttering, don't leave me. You sit up. You want to help, but what would you even say? You lie back down. You think about socks again. You think about your mother. You think about how warm her kitchen used to be. How the floor creaked in the same spot every time. How she always made pancakes on Thursdays because the grocery store sold eggs cheap that day. You blink, try to hold that image. It fades, you shift again. You find a rock under your hip. You name it Dave. Dave is ruining your night. You dig it out and toss it. It lands with a thud that sounds like you killed something. You wait. Nothing happens. You close your eyes. Again. This time you start to drift. It's almost sleep until the coughing starts. Someone across the trench, deep, ugly, wet. The kind of cough that says, lungs optional. You try to ignore it. You fail. It keeps going. Each cough like a hammer against your nerves. Then it stops. You hold your breath. You don't hear him anymore. You sit up. You look over. He's still, too still. You wonder. You don't check. You lie back down. Another rat runs over your boot. You don't flinch. You've made peace with the rodents. They have more control over this trench than you do. You close your eyes for the 5th time. This time you dream. You're walking through a town, yours. The sky is blue. The buildings aren't on fire. You smell bread, real bread. Then a whistle cuts through the air and the dream ends in smoke. You wake up gasping. The whistle wasn't in your head. It was real. Another shell, distant, not close enough to worry, but enough to steal sleep again. You stare at the sky. It's the wrong kind of black, a kind that eats hope. You think about morning. It'll come eventually. It always does. But that doesn't make it better, just louder. You lie there, watching shadows shift. You think about all the people who promised this would be over by Christmas. You think about the letter in your sock you never sent. You think about the guy who had a dog named Butter. You think about how Butter probably doesn't know he's gone. You close your eyes one more time. Sleep, if it ever comes, will be the kind you fall into like a well. Deep, sudden, quiet. Until then you wait. Because that's what soldiers do between orders. They wait and try not to fall apart. Chapter 10, The Letter That Didn't Come. You wake up to the sound of boots sloshing through mud and a voice shouting, "Mail call!" It's a joke, a cruel one, like yelling ice cream in hell. Still, everyone stirs. Men rise from blankets and holes like half-dressed zombies. Hope is stronger than sleep, stronger than smell even. You sit up slowly, your spine cracks like someone stepping on frozen twigs. You rub your eyes with fingers you no longer trust, then wipe away a slug trying to move into your cheekbone. The mailman, Jenkins or someone wearing Jenkins's jacket, stands ankle-deep in trench filth. holding a damp canvas sack like it contains gold. And in a way it does, because a letter means someone remembers you exist. A letter means you haven't disappeared into this mud-soaked purgatory for nothing. Jenkins calls out names, one by one. Hands go up, shaking hands, dirty hands, hungry hands. You wait and wait. But your name doesn't come. He finishes the list. Your chest sinks. You smile anyway. That fake smile soldiers wear when nothing's okay, but no one needs to hear about it. Johnson slaps your shoulder. Next time. You nod. Yeah, you say it. They're probably just late. Except they're never late. They just don't come. You lie back against the trench wall. You pretend you don't care, but you do. Because the guy next to you just opened a letter from his sister and started crying over a doodle of a cat, because another guy just got a package with socks in it, and he's holding them like they're relics from heaven. You look down at your feet. The socks you're wearing could be used as biological weapons. You rub your eyes again. You remember writing letters. You remember starting one a week ago, or maybe 2. You didn't finish it. You couldn't decide what to say. Dear Mom, I'm alive. Felt like a lie. Dear Mom, everything's fine. Felt worse. You settle for silence. Still, you check your pack again, just in case. Maybe they slipped one in. They didn't. You feel something twist in your stomach. Could be hunger, could be something else. You dig around and pull out an old letter from weeks ago, one you've read so many times the creases have their own smell. It's from a girl you used to like, or maybe still do. You don't know anymore. She said she was thinking of you, that she missed your stupid jokes, that she hoped the war would be over by summer. It's winter now. You fold it carefully, too carefully, like it's made of bone. You tuck it back into your sock. It's the only one that doesn't itch. Around you, everyone's reading, smiling, crying, laughing softly like they don't want to break the magic. Someone shares a photo, a baby, a wife, a house. Someone else shows off a drawing of a dog. The trench feels warmer for 5 minutes. You drink it in, even if it's not yours. Then Jenkins yells, "That's it!" The mailbag's empty, like your chest. People go back to their foxholes. The magic fades. The cold returns. You try to shake it off. You scrape your mess tin clean with a spoon that bent back in Belgium. You find a stale biscuit. You eat it without chewing. It tastes like packing material. Johnson hands you a mint. You accept it like it's a bar of gold. "Cheer up," he says. "Not sulking," you reply. He nods. "That's good, because if you were, I'd have to hug you." You both laugh, barely. A guy down the line tears his letter into strips and folds it into a paper airplane. He launches it into the air. It crashes into a wall and lands in a puddle. "Same as me," he mutters. The sergeant walks by. "You girls done?" You nod. Of course, always. He grunts. "Patrols in an hour." You groan internally. You try to write something, a letter, anything. You tear a page from your notebook, the one that used to hold math problems and grocery lists. You write, "Hey, just wanted to let you know I'm still here. Nothing glamorous. Still mud, still trench, still cold. Saw a bird the other day. First one in weeks. Think it was lost. Sometimes I feel like that bird." You stop. You crumple the paper. You throw it. Then go pick it up. You smooth it out. You put it in your pack. Maybe you'll finish it someday. Maybe not. Maybe it'll get lost, like you. The sun moves across the sky like it's in no hurry to help. You stare at it like it owes you something. A letter, a sign, a damn break. Instead, it gives you more trench, more time, more waiting. You lie back, stare at the clouds. You imagine one looks like a mailbox, then a tank, then nothing, just grey, just like always. Chapter 11. The one who didn't make it. You don't know who it's going to be. That's the thing. You wake up in the morning and count boots, mess tins, cigarettes passed around, bad jokes recycled from yesterday, and everyone's still there. And then 1 moment later, someone isn't. And today it's Carver. He's not the one you'd expect. He's steady, quiet, doesn't smoke. Writes long letters home like he's auditioning for a novel. Never complains. Always gives you his extra cracker if your tin came up short. He was 3 feet from you when it happened. A pop, a snap, then a sound you've only heard once before. That awful soft thump a body makes when it forgets how to be upright. You turned, you saw it, the hole in his chest, the way his helmet tipped forward like it couldn't bear to look. No screaming, no flailing, just gone. Just Carver, not breathing. Time froze. Someone yelled. Someone dropped their rifle. Someone else tried to plug the wound with the wrong part of their sleeve. It didn't matter. The medic didn't even run. He just walked over, checked the pulse, shook his head. That's it. No drama, no last words, no heroic soundtrack, just silence. And the sound of someone retching into the mud. You stood there. Not because you didn't care, because you didn't know what else to do. What do? You don't have a manual for this. They trained you to fire, march, dig, clean, write. They never trained you for the moment your friend folds like laundry and doesn't get back up. Johnson picked up the helmet. He stared at it, then put it back down. The new guy started crying. Not loud, not wailing, just soft, ugly sobs into his own sleeve. No one told him to stop. You just watched. Watched as they rolled Carver into a tarp and tied it off with string like he was luggage that no one claimed. They said they'd move him later. You said nothing. What were you supposed to say? You wanted to yell, punch the dirt, scream at the sky, ask why the bullet picked him and not the guy who hadn't bathed in 2 months, but you didn't. You just sat in the trench and stared at your boots like they might unravel next. Then the mail arrived, because life has a sick sense of timing. The guy passing it out, not Jenkins, someone else, called Carver's name. You all froze. The mailman didn't know. You raised your hand slowly. "I'll take it." He shrugged and handed it over. It was light, soft, smelled like paper and perfume. You stared at the envelope. It had his name on it, his handwriting from home. You recognized the loops. You didn't open it. You put it in your coat pocket. Later, when the sergeant asked if there was any mail for Carver, you just shook your head. You kept the letter. You didn't know why. Maybe so it wouldn't be wasted. Maybe so he'd still exist in some small way. Maybe because you didn't want to let go. The tarp stayed beside the trench for hours. Every time you looked at it, you felt smaller. You remembered Carver's laugh, that weird nasal thing he did when he found something funny, the way he always polished his boots even when no one cared, the way he folded his socks like he thought it mattered. You tried to remember the last thing he said to you. You couldn't. It's always something dumb, something like, "Pass the crackers." Something meaningless. You wish it had been more, but that's war. You never know when goodbye is goodbye. Eventually, they moved him. 2 guys with a stretcher. They didn't say his name. They didn't cover his face until the last second. You didn't watch him go. You just stared into the mud. Later, you dug a hole. Not for him, for yourself, for protection. But it felt the same. The trench was quiet that night. No jokes, no cards, no humming, just the wind and the wet and the sounds of things dying far away. You held the letter in your hands and thought about opening it. You didn't. Instead, you wrote your own. "Dear Carver, you got a letter today. It smelled like home. I didn't open it. Didn't feel right. But I hope it said what you needed to hear. Hope it said she missed you. Hope it made you smile wherever you are. I'll keep it safe for now." You folded the note, put it in your sock. Same place you put his letter. That night you dreamed of Carver. He was sitting in the trench, polishing his boots, humming a song you couldn't place. You tried to talk to him. He didn't answer, just smiled, then he faded. And you woke up. Cold, alone, still here. Chapter 12. Congratulations, you're still alive. The sun's going down again. You've lost count of how many times that's happened. But each one feels longer, heavier. Like the sun isn't just setting, it's giving up. You sit in your trench with your back against the wall, knees up, helmet on, rifle beside you. You've spent the last 23 hours dodging shells, walking through hell, cleaning latrines, watching friends die, and pretending your name might still be on a letter that never came, and somehow you're still breathing. Congratulations, you're still alive. You don't feel like celebrating. You feel like a tin can someone kicked down a mountain filled with rocks and guilt and whatever's left of your lunch from yesterday. Johnson offers you a stick of gum, you take it. It's cherry-flavoured, or maybe that's just trench water pretending. You chew slowly, like it matters. Someone near you sings softly. A hymn, maybe, or a love song, hard to tell. The rats have quieted down, even they're tired. You watch a spider spin a web between 2 bits of broken helmet. You wonder if it knows where it is. You wonder if it cares. Someone lights a cigarette. The flare of the match makes you flinch. The smoke drifts into your face. You don't complain. You think about the man who didn't wake up. You think about Carver's letter still tucked in your coat. You wonder what it said. You hope it was nice. You hope it ended with love. The guy on your left whispers a joke. You miss the setup. You laugh anyway because it's night time. And in war, if you're not laughing, you're probably not okay. You take off your helmet and scratch your head. You feel lice. You put it back on. The wind picks up. Cold fingers down your neck. You sigh. You've been holding it in all day. You check your boots. Still there. Still soggy. You shift. One last time. Your knees crack like broken promises. You close your eyes. Just for a minute. You remember home. The porch light. Your dad's laugh. That smell when it rains on hot pavement. You remember the sound of a basketball hitting the driveway. You remember how quiet everything used to be. You open your eyes. You're still in the trench. Still surrounded by mud, metal, ghosts. But you're here. You are here. A medic walks by, nods at you. That's enough. The night is quiet, suspiciously so, but you're too tired to be paranoid. Someone nearby coughs. Not the scary kind, just human. It's weird how normal sounds are rare now. You savour it. The stars peek out, one by one. They don't care about your trench. They don't care about your war. They just shine, like they always do. You whisper to no one. Made it. The trench doesn't respond. That's okay. You didn't expect it to. You feel something shift in your chest. Not pain, not pride, something else. Like a clock resetting. Tomorrow will come, and maybe it'll be worse, but it's not here yet. Tonight you rest. Tonight you exist. And for once that feels like enough. And there you have it. One brutal, heavy, miserable day in the life of a soldier during World War II. Not a general, not a war hero, just a guy trying not to fall apart before the sun comes up again. If you made it this far, thank you. Thank you for walking through that trench with me, for staying awake through the shell fire, the silence, and the things we don't talk about. And a real thank you, the deepest kind, to all the veterans out there, past and present, for enduring what most of us could never imagine, for carrying the weight so the rest of us wouldn't have to. If you're listening right now, and the room's a little too quiet, or the night's been a little too long, just know you're not alone. Hit that like button, if this kept you company, and subscribe if you want more stories that make you feel something, even if it's uncomfortable. Drop a comment with the time and where you're tuning in from. I always love seeing our late-night battalions scattered around the globe. Take care of yourself, and until next time, good night.